Alright, welcome back to another episode of StichMethod. Before we begin, do this, and also share this video with any Jerry Garcia fan that you know who plays guitar. With that being said, let's get down to it. I do have to talk to you in a couple seconds about what we're going to do today, what we're going to accomplish. A month ago, I released a 2-hour free caged chord system arpeggio masterclass located right here. And today I want to show you how, if you know this stuff, you can really start to sound more and more like Jerry Garcia. Now, with that being said, we are studying today one specific instance of Jerry Garcia in multiple places on the guitar, and I will explain. You see, Jerry is, the freest, most unpredictable guitar player there is. When you think he's going to do something, he does something else. And he is so free, and he is so natural, and he knows so many tricks that in real time, he doesn't even need to think about them, he just feels which one he wants to do. And today's goal is to show you how, if you think like Jerry for one moment in time, we can really emulate his sound, but also realize how much practice it takes and how much of the fretboard you need to master in order to be that free. So the moment that we're going to talk about is over a 5-to-1 progression. Now I want to say this, not only a 5-to-1 progression, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but any moment in a Grateful Dead jam that has a 5 chord leaning or moving to a 1 chord. Alright, a quick edit. I forgot to mention why we're doing the 5-to-1 cadence. We're doing a 5-to-1 because it's known as a perfect cadence, a piece of music that starts off and ends perfectly. The 5 chord is where the tension is, and the 1 is home and resolve. And so you're going to find a lot of songs that have perfect cadences, whether it's at the ending, in the middle, or even between parts. Like sometimes a verse will start on the 5 and the chorus will drop down to the 1. But a 5-to-1 movement in music, again, is known as a perfect cadence. It's the most grandest of resolves, and Jerry Garcia knew that. And so he uses his expertise to enhance that moment. I forgot to mention that, and so I did this quick edit with my new puppy. And so a 5-to-1 is a very special piece of music that creates a lot of movement, and you can find these again in any place in any song, and we're just going to look out for them, aren't we? And so, and also kind of exploit them like Jerry did. Alright, back to the video. So I want to talk to you really quickly about that, some basic theory here. In a key, you have 7 chords, and we're talking about the 1st chord and the 5th chord, but more particular, we're talking about that 5 chord going to a 1. Now I'll explain. In the key of G, you have G is the 1 chord, C is the 4 chord, and D is the 5. A 5-to-1 would be the D leading to the G. Anytime you see a Grateful Dead song where there is a D leading to a G, you can do these moves, okay? Now, there is a Grateful Dead song that I'll be using as a backing track, which is pretty much only a 5-to-1 jam, which is Sugaree. So this video is going to be very, very heavy on Sugaree. If you like these ideas, you can practice with me on Patreon over Franklin's Tower, Sugaree, and some other little itty-bitty moments in Grateful Dead jams so that we can, get this into our bones. So now I want to study some 5-to-1s with you so you understand. The easiest way to find a 5-to-1 combination is you can use this chart that I'm popping up on the screen right now, and you can take a screenshot and look for any time one of the 5 chords goes to one of the 1 chords. The reason I'm doing this lesson is because I was teaching my student Adam, hello Adam, and we were going over the song Black Peter, and Black Peter had an A leading to a D. And there was this move that Jerry did. We were listening to it and we both went, oh my God, what is that move? That is such a Jerry move. The move ended up being this. And when I figured that out, I said, I'm doing a video on Jerry and the use of the arpeggios from the Cage Masterclass and how to do this. And so in Sugaree, we have this 5-to-1, and it's just B to E. And that's 5-to-1 over and over again. A great progression to practice all of our stuff here. So that's what we're going to do, and you're going to discover about 4, 5, 6 different moves that you can play anytime you see a 5-to-1. Now, Jerry Garcia does play scales. He uses scales to move things around, and today we're just going to be talking about these moments in time. Now, I've talked to you long enough. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes. right, the first moment riff we're going to talk about from Jerry's, the one I showed you that I discovered from Black Peter. What I want to say is all of these things I'm going to show you start in one place and end up in another place, and those are always the same places. And so when you know that this arpeggio will always lead me to this arpeggio in a 5-to-1 fashion, you can move it and get very comfortable. You'll learn the beginning, the 5, and the 1 part, and then you'll kind of like know them as like one big chunk. And so here we go. In Sugaree, we have a B to an E. And so the first move is finding the E-shaped B chord right here, the 7th fret, and knowing the 7th chord arpeggio. Why do we want to know why do we want to know the 7th chord arpeggio? Well, if you watch any of my In the Mind of Jerry videos located right here, I always talk about how Jerry always extends out the chord tones. And any 5 chord can also be played as a 7th chord anytime. And he really takes advantage of that. And so our knowledge here is that we want to look for the A7 arpeggio. The B7 arpeggio. All right? And so in the Cage Masterclass, it looks like this. All right? And now, so again, that's 7, 6, 9, 7, 9, 8, 7, 10, 7. I hope I said that right. I usually never do. All right, and there's our 7th chord arpeggio. The intervals, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And so what does Jerry Garcia do? Well, he does a really interesting thing here. He starts on the 1, and then he's going to go, check this out, right away, a Jerryism. Instead of going to the 7, he goes to the 6 behind it, or the flat 7, excuse me. He goes to the 6 behind it, bends it up to the flat 7. Then he comes down to the 5, straight down the major 3rd, and here's another Jerryism that I love so much, it gives it the sound, hits the root note, chromatically climbs down to the flat 7. Major 7th, flat 7. That line is this. And then he goes, that last note, he bars his finger and goes right back up to the 5 here. And then after he hits that, I'll show this whole thing in great detail, he's going to take this 5 and he's going to slide down 2 frets to here. Well, what is this note? We are now in the 1 section. We are now on the E, and that comes from the C-shaped chord. There's my root note. So anytime we play this E7 arpeggio, we're going to end up in the C-shaped 1 chord, and we can do some fun stuff there. Here you have your C-shaped 1 chord, and I'll do this all again. Don't worry, I'm just showing you kind of quickly how this masterclass or mini masterclass will work. And you can have that C-shaped pentatonic. All right, you have the chord tones inside of it, which make your melodies 1, 3, 5, 1. And Jerry all the time does many different things in the C shape. He can hit this, maybe come down to the root note down here, do the standard Jerry of the 2, flat 3, 3, and then fool around. All right, so let's see how that works. And I'll play Sugaree in a second, but here is the 5. 1. Let's hear it over Sugaree. You know, if I don't mess up once, whatever. Oh. And so there is the combination of a 5 to a 1, the first Jerryism we're going to talk about, and you want to practice that. Now I want to show you before I move on. This is universal. Say you come across a song, a Jerry Garcia song, or a Grateful Dead song, excuse me, and there is a D to a G, and you go, whoa, that D to a G is a 5 to 1. But let's say the chord progression is like A, A, C, A, D, G. It's okay, on this D and G combination, here's a D, that's a 5 to a 1. So we need to find the bar chord, the E-shaped bar chord for the D. Find the 7th chord arpeggio, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. And that riff, all right, and then it's going to come 2 frets back, and then you're in the C shape. Now the idea here is, I never like teaching licks, right? But these I feel like are stem cells of ideas. You can manipulate these things. All right, you can kind of like loosen up once you understand the structure. That E7 arpeggio shape is always going to lead as a 5 chord to the C shape 1 chord, and you can have your fun with it. And so we'll talk about more moves, but hopefully you enjoyed this one. Again, I'll have a ton of practice sessions on my Patreon, and if you find a Sugaree backing track or you can make your own B to E, you can practice this stuff right away. See you on another hot lick of Jerry's. All right, the next 5-to-1 combination we're going to talk about is very, very similar in approach and sound, so you might not want to put them together, but I want you to learn them together so you go, okay, I see what's happening. In this case, again, we're still going to use Sugaree. We're looking for a B chord, and this arpeggio setup is going to go from an A shape to an E shape. All right, so we have that 14th fret A shaped B chord to the 12th fret E shaped E chord. Now, Jerry Garcia does moves like this all the time. And so I want to show you this A-shaped chord gets this pentatonic form 5, or an A-shaped pentatonic. If you have any questions about that, I'm linking a video right next to my head. So, Jerry Garcia plays arpeggios and pentatonics. You're going to see him sometimes start here, then rake down. Okay? These intervals here, by the way, is the 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. He's going to do 3, 1, 5. He rakes down that. Then he plays a chromatic run, 5, flat 5, 4. Leans over, grabs that B string on the same fret. That's the major second. Okay, that's his riff. And then down 2 frets. And he's now inside the E chord. And there you have it. All right. So I'll show you that once again. Whenever he's mentally playing the B chord here or 5 chord, he might kind of play. And when it's time to transition, sorry, there, really. Now, there you have it. There is an A-shape arpeggio Jerry run that leads to an E shape. Let's do it in a different 5-to-1 scenario. Let's say you're playing a song, and all of a sudden you see an E to an A. All right, that's a 5-to-1. All right, so here is my A-shaped E chord. That should lead, in theory, 2 frets down to my E-shaped A chord. Same exact arpeggio shapes. That riff, if I was doing this, if the song was... Okay, we'll bring it in. Let's see if it works. Again, he's never going to play it twice in a row. I just wanted to show you that in action. All right. So we have two. I showed you the first one based off the E shape, and I'm showing you the second one based off an A shape kind of Jerry run with some chromatics. I hope you're enjoying this. We have a third one, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth and seven. I don't know how many I'm going to show you until I run out. And thank you so much for being here, and on to the next one. All right, the next one I want to show you is going to be pentatonic based, believe it or not. All right, and I love this one. And so when we're dealing with pentatonic based things, we want to realize, like I say this in pretty much all my Jerry videos, on the 5 chord, your prime suspect in Jerry's playing is going to be a pentatonic. And so here it is in real life. on Sugaree, all right, we need a B major pentatonic. Now the pentatonic I'm going to play is a linear pentatonic, very similar to my major never lost pentatonic, also linked in the video popping up right here. And so it looks like this: 7, 9 slides to 11, 9, 11, 9. This is a B major pentatonic. Let's look at those intervals: 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. This pentatonic, whenever you start it on the thick E string, that's your 5 part, and it's always going to lead to a G-shaped chord for the 1 chord right there. If you haven't seen that Cage Masterclass, I suggest you do. And so now we're going to put some Jerryisms into it. Not only is he going to play this pentatonic, but I want to show you this. That right there. The 11th fret of the A string, that's the 6th. 1 fret up is your flat 7. Jerry likes to throw this flat 7. He puts it in his pentatonic, so we're going to call it the Jerry hybrid pentatonic. And you're going to hear him do lines, okay, with that flat 7. Also, you're going to hear him combine the 5, sharp 5, or flat 6 to 6. And so you're going to see some of his lines are going to be like, and then go into his E chord. Now I want to talk to you right here about this G-shaped E chord. And I'm going to show you something else. There's this move that Jerry does on the 1 chord that we love. And it's very easy to emulate, and I'm going to show you. You have this G-shaped chord here, and it goes with a form 1 pentatonic. They're one in the same pretty much. All right? Check out my Caged Primer playlist if you want to make that correlation very clear. Okay, so anytime you play a G-shaped chord, it goes with this guy here. To get this ethereal, spacey sound that Jerry does, all you got to do is start on the root note, and instead of going up the scale in order, you take these forward and back steps like this. You are automatically hitting chord tones, but you're starting on a note out of order, so it has this like this dreamlike effect. So putting it together, you get. All right, and so let's see it over Sugaree. So that, that pentatonic on the E string always leads 2 frets up to the G-shaped chord. The 5 is always going to lead here. Now, the next lesson I'm going to show you is a very similar lesson, and it's just going to get you out of trouble if you get into it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Before we go, let's just practice it in a different set of chords. Let's say you are playing a song and there is a C sharp to an F sharp. You never know, right? You might see it. So you want to find that C sharp, that's the 5, to the 1, F sharp. Let's find the C sharp major pentatonic. It's right here. Man, it's only 2 frets up from where we were. Okay, so here it is here on the 9th fret, same pentatonic. Let's put in those Jerryisms. And it's going to lead right here to the G-shaped chord, right there. All right, there's my there's my G-shaped F sharp chord, and you got the. So let's say you have this like. Okay, let's give it a go. There it is. All right, and you're gonna hear Jerry do this stuff. Now we can move forward to another type mentality that's going to kind of, like I said, get you out of like a sticky wicket if you get in there. So thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Share this, please. I love teaching this stuff. Hopefully you're enjoying it as well. See you on the next Jerry Hot Lick. All right, the next lick we're going to do is pretty much the same exact thing, but but if you happen to get yourself on a pentatonic on the A string. And so Sugaree, our backing track for this lesson, we need a B major backing track right here. Sorry, we need a B major pentatonic. Just stop listening to me. And we have the same shape. There it is. All right, and so we want to Jerry-ism it up. Now this A string major pentatonic is going to lead, like once you get up to that fourth fret, it's going to lead right to a C shape, right there. Again, you have this like fretwise 2, 4, 4, 6, 4, 6, 4, and when you're on the fourth fret, you can kind of just make this, this C-shaped chord, and there is that one chord. And we talked about this in the beginning of the lesson, but now we have the C-shaped chord here, and we can do those Jerry-ism dances. Right? We can do the ethereal. No matter what, it's always going to work, so you can have. All right, and so you can get that stuff in there. And again, I just want to show you, I'm going to show it to you in a different key. Let's do the same thing, C sharp to F sharp. Well, here's a C sharp major pentatonic. Jerry-ism it up. And then here is the C-shaped chord it leads to right there. That is my F sharp. There's another ethereal thing where you can really do the chromatics. Whatever you want to do. All right, and so it works every time. All right, well, I think we have one more to do. I hope you're enjoying this, and we'll see you on the flip side. The last one we're going to talk about is going to be a D7 shaped 5 chord to the G shaped 1 chord. So here I hear this, when I hear this move that Jerry does, it's like, oh, I love it. It's like A1 steak sauce, as they say. And so this is a B7 chord. It's a D7 shape, but it's on that 11, 10, 11 fret area. This, okay, is my, B7 chord. My pinky here is the root note. We're not playing it for the chord, but Jerry's going to visualize it. So for the D7, you're going to see him play the 5 and the major third. Then he's going to walk down from the root to the major 7 to the flat 7, sound familiar? Into this note here, which is the major third of the E chord. So you're going to hear him like. And what I did right there on that B7 was sometimes you can always suspend things. Here's the major third. So don't be afraid to do stuff like this. Alright, you can use chromatic runs to move any pentatonic notes together. So the D7 shape to the G, anything is going to sound great. Before we go, let's just do it in one other place. Let's say we're doing a G to a C. That's a 5 to 1. We're going to look for that G chord, or G7 shape. A G7 chord in the D7 shape. And here it is here. This is my D7 shaped G chord. It's 7, 6, 7. You can find it by making a D chord like this and just kind of making a 7th chord arpeggio. And then 1 fret down is going to be that C major chord. Perfect. There's my 5. There's my 1. Same thing. Now, I just want to show you it all works. Before we put it together, I just want to say one quick thing. out of these, 4 or 5 little Jerryisms on 5-to-1s, you want to learn them as I'm teaching them to you, but then you want to say, okay, I can take liberties with them. And so what I'm going to do is show you that once you get them down, let's take that first one. Like, you don't have to do that. You understand the path. You can kind of like, mess around. I just stayed away from that. But you understand the changes. All right, you don't have to stick to the same thing. If I was doing this thing here to this guy, which was number 2, instead of like, you can sit like, and you can loosen up. And so you want to learn them as I'm showing you, but then try to loosen up with them. So really quickly, I'm going to play a Sugaree backing track, and I'm going to try to incorporate all these. And the fun thing is wherever you end up, you might be able to pick up, like wherever you go 5-to-1, you might be like, oh, I practiced another 5-to-1 here, and you end up here and you go, oh, cool, I practiced another 5-to-1 here and here, and you can try and stay connected and move around and have fun by seeing where you start versus where you end, and then where you end, oh wait, did I practice something close by? Yeah, I did, let me jump on that. And so you can have a ton of fun, something like this, let's see. Like that, right? Something like that. And so you can have fun with this. Again, before we go, I'll say you can practice with me on Patreon. I'll have tons of practice sessions on Sugaree, Franklin's Tower, which is a 5-to-1, and some other goodies, so you can harden these into your system. And my motto is welcome to YouTube, where the information is free, and on Patreon you get to practice with me. I'll end it with that. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this mini Jerry masterclass. Bye bye.